Today, I'll be reading For Women Only by Shanti Feldman. I don't think I've picked up this book in ages. I've had it for a long time. All right, girls, this one's for you. The truth about taking care of yourself. Why what's on the outside matters to him on the inside. You don't need to be a size 3, but your man does need to see you making the effort to take care of yourself, and he'll willingly help you. I can attest to that. Warning: before you read any further, pray first. I'm not kidding. We're going to navigate some tricky waters here, and to get the most out of this, you'll need to be open to something you may not have heard before, while being protected from hurt. So take a moment now and ask the Lord to shepherd you through of reading and absorbing this material. Okay, ready? This chapter is about something our men desperately want us to know, but feel absolutely unable to tell us. The effort you put into your appearance is extremely high on his priority list, yet the chances that you know his true feelings are extremely low. What I've learned about men's needs in this area, including my husband's, has been life-changing. It has jarred me out of a dangerously complacency. Perhaps it will jar you out of yours. Out, blind spot. Call me naive, but I just didn't realize that a wife's or girlfriend's appearance was such a big deal, such an imperative deal for the guy. Important, yes. Imperative, no. Of course, having learned just how visual men are, I should have gotten a clue. But somehow I assumed that I was out of shape, and I was the only person who was negatively affected. Then, one day after speaking to a mixed group about the other topics in this book, I was approached by a man I've known professionally for several years. I'll call him Ted. He asked if we could talk privately, and we found some chairs away from everyone else. There's something I need to mention to you, Ted said, looking uncomfortable. I think women have a blind spot in the area that they really need to understand. Taking a deep breath, he spilled the beans. I don't think women know how important it is to take care of themselves and not to look like slouches around their husbands. You mean not to be overweight? I ventured. That's part of it, but that's not really it, Ted continued. It doesn't mean you have to be a size 3. The bigger issue is that your husband sees that you're putting forth the effort to take care of yourself for him. See, my wife is 115 pounds, but her weight isn't really the issue. It's not about being tiny. If she doesn't take care of herself, dresses sloppily around me all of the time, never exercises and has no energy to go out and do things, I feel like she's choosing not to do something that she should know it is important to me. And then it becomes a real issue because it affects her ability to do things and her self-worth and desire. And then it affects me. I just want to see that my wife cares enough about me to make the effort. That burden off his chest, Ted relaxed. You may not believe this, he said with a chuckle, but it's not about whether we want our wives to prance around the house in a little Bo Peep outfit, although that would be great too. I mean, who are we kidding? But really, I just want to see my wife care enough about me to make the effort. Every time I decided to add a chapter about this issue, the male response has been astonishing. In fact, when I described all the topics of this book to a guy, do Do you know which one he's most likely to seize on something he wished his wife understood? You got it. This one. Sex and respect were close seconds. Most of the men who hear about this subject thank me. Thank you for saying this. Thank you for saying what we've been thinking we could never ever say. Thank you for taking on a subject that is so taboo, especially in Christian circles. Now, nearly all women have a few form of body insecurities that we already worry about too much. And I'm not trying to add fuel to that fire. We're hammered relentlessly by media messages that we should all be perfectly shaped and eternally young. But God didn't create us to be a Barbie doll. And those fake and impossible ideals only drive women into eating disorders and other miserable, unhealthy obsessions. This chapter is only dealing with weight, fitness, and appearance issues that we can helpfully do something about. So first, let's celebrate our God-given individuality. Sturdy thighs, small boobs and all, and make the best of them. Men don't mind less than ideal proportions. In fact, most men I spoke with wish their partners weren't so sensitive about their bodies. Second, if you're one of those rare women who is size 2 and convinced you're fat, be careful. You're probably delusional. This chapter is not trying to get you to lose weight. If what you read here puts you in a panic, please talk to a trusted friend or a medical advisor. Third, we need to accept how complicated and hypersensitive the appearance issue is for both partners. Many men, for example, feel that they shouldn't care about appearance, but they do. Many women, on the other hand, feel that true love should come with no strings attached. Still, we want to be attractive, and while we are delighted that he liked our looks during courtship, we can find ourselves feeling outright resentful that our appearance still matters so much to him now. Finally, please understand that the entire subject isn't ultimately about being tiny or any other current ideal of attractiveness. Primarily, it is about showing our men that we're willing to make the effort to address something that is very important to them. So with grace and good intentions firmly in hand, let's take a hard look at what men really think. Every man cares. Almost every man cares if his wife is out of shape and doesn't make a true effort to change. For some, it's merely a wistful, "Oh, for the good old days" sigh, while others, it's a relationship wrecker. Here's what I asked on the survey. So I'll just sum up the little survey here. If you guys can see, I'll just sum that part up. So basically, 70% of men said, "It emotionally bothers me," aggregated from those who chose one or more answers, such as, "I know it shouldn't bother me." But okay, so basically 70% of men was saying, "I know it shouldn't bother me, but it does." Whereas 12% was saying, "It doesn't bother me at all." That's a huge difference. I always felt that it bothered men, but I didn't think 70%. I didn't think it was that much. Okay, we continue on. 7 out of 10 men indicated that they would be emotionally bothered if the woman in their lives let herself go and didn't seem to want to make a difference, to do something about it. Only 12% said it didn't bother them. And even fewer happily married, younger, church-going men weren't bothered. Once I understood this, I started making the effort myself. My husband felt safe to confirm that most guys do indeed struggle with this issue. With some trepidation, he gently reminded me of when, after our son was born, I used to eat chocolate and donuts every morning. He said, I know it's awful, but every morning when I saw those donuts on the counter, my heart would just sink. I'd think, it's never going to change. We guys keep our spirits up with the thought that some hope is out there, but things will change. Or that things will change. For me, those chocolate donuts weren't the issue. It was that he said something about me making a choice not to get back in shape for me. Your effort is what matters. Most of us can get paralyzed into inaction by the thought of having to look for the impossible thin 20-year-old on television. But over and over again, I heard each man say that it mattered most to him was not that his wife shrank down to her honeymoon bikini, but that she was willing to make the effort to take care of herself for him. Look at the encouraging response. 5 out of 6 men agreed, with the regular churchgoers agreeing even more strongly. It's not that results don't matter. Of course they do. But they will be a byproduct of our efforts to take care of ourselves, for better or for worse. Before we look further, those of us who don't believe in divorce may need to own up to creepingly complacency. I'm going to read that again because that's so important. Before we look any further, those of us who don't believe in divorce may need to own up to creeping complacency. Think how off limits it is in a church setting to emphasize the importance of a woman's physical appeal. God looks not on the outward appearance, but on the heart. We say and expect our husbands to do the same. Our husbands have pledged their faithfulness for better or for worse, and we know it's what's inside that counts. Trouble is, we can easily migrate to the idea that what's on the inside doesn't matter, but it does. And when that's what on the outside doesn't matter, and it does. And when we seem to be willfully ignoring that truth, our men, even godly men who are devoted to us, end up feeling disregarded, disrespected, and hurt. So let's try to understand why his feelings about the appearance can run so high, even if they're out of sight to us. Why does your effort in appearance matter? One man reading a draft of this chapter looked at the subject heading and exclaimed, "What do you mean? Why does it matter? Men really don't understand why a woman would have to ask the question, so why is it essential?" Here's what men said when they felt safe enough to tell the truth. When you take care of yourself, I feel like you care about me. When you take care of yourself, I feel like you care about me. Since men are so visual, seeing us make the effort to look good makes them feel loved and cared for. It matters to them in the same way it matters to us when we notice our husbands making an effort to do things that make us feel loved, especially when things are difficult or don't come naturally. Consider our husband's honest comment. My wife is trying to slim down right now, and it makes me feel $1,000,000. I know she's doing it for herself, but the fact that she cares about her, how she looks, is a total turn on. If you want to know the truth, I tell her all the time how much I appreciate the work she's putting into this. If you had having a hard time believing that your man really cares about the efforts as much as your results, here's a helpful romance-related parallel. If your husband truly puts effort and thoughts into a romantic event, do you really mind if he's not perfect? If it's your birthday and you come home from work to find that he has gotten friends to watch the kids, the house has been cleaned, and he has slaved over a meal, are you really going to take care if the Vico piccata is overdone? If not, you feel loved and cared for. When you don't take care of yourself, I feel unvalued and unhappy. When you don't take care of yourself, I feel unvalued and unhappy. How does a man feel when a woman he is married to looks significantly different than the one he courted? After I tackled the subject in one of the newspaper columns, a 27-year-old man wrote to me and let me know the men whose wives have gained a lot of weight since the wedding days. Shanti, the women need to realize that their doubling in size is like a man going from being a corporate executive to a minimum wage slacker and assuming it has no effect on his spouse. A woman's appearance is a simple yet important part of happiness in a marriage. A number of my friends love their spouses, but they're not happy mainly for that reason. And being out of shape affects more than just appearance. Remember how much a man wants to go out and do things with his wife and how close that makes him feel to you. One surveyor wrote, she's a very pretty woman, but she's not taking care of herself. And she feels bad about her looks, and she has little energy, and we are limiting our opportunities, such as going out to a pool party or the lake or the beach. In a way, this issue for men is like the romance issue for us. Maybe it shouldn't matter whether our husbands even put one shot of effort into romancing us, but it does. We love them regardless. But it doesn't remove the emptiness and willfulness we feel or the pain we may suffer, wondering why on earth our men don't see that this is so important to us. Guys feel the same way on the issue of how we take care of ourselves. It is critical that we acknowledge that their desire is both real and legitimate. When you take care of yourself, you expect that I only have eyes for you feels fairer and easier to accomplish. As we struggle with this hard truth, it might be helpful to remember that we're not alone. We're also asking our men to do something that is hard and goes against their natural instincts. The man who originally opened my eyes to this issue explained it this way. We need to see that you care about keeping our intention on you and off of other women. Sometimes it is so hard for us to look away. It takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. But it helps me so much if I see my wife is willing to do her part and purposefully work toward staying in shape and looking good. I want to be proud of you. Several men told me something like this. I want to be proud of my wife. Every man has this innate competition with other men, and other wives are a part of that. Every man wants other men to think that he did well in his choice for a wife. Now I'm going to share something that will be difficult to hear. This 2-part comment is from a friend whose heart I trust completely. I'm included it because I found it to be truly how men think and because I believe it helps to make a critical distinction. Here's what they said. Sometimes I'll meet a guy who looks just like an average guy, but then if I meet his wife and she is huge and very out of shape and just sloppy, I feel so sorry for him. It sounds terrible, but my gut just churns for him. It's this, oh, I'm sorry, sort of compassion. That sounds absolutely terrible thing to say out loud, but it is what every man is thinking. But then sometimes I'll meet a man whose wife is overweight, but she takes care of herself. She puts in some effort for appearance. She dresses neatly or does makeup and hair. If she's comfortable in her own skin and she's confident, you don't notice the extra pounds. I look at that husband and think he did well. So I'll stop here today, but that was a pretty good eye-opener even for me. I mean, I generally like to think I take care of myself. Hair, makeup, all that type of thing, especially when going out. But I think it's still something good to remember, because I usually think that men, well, once you've been married for a while, that you don't really care about those things. I do it because it makes me feel good. I didn't think he cared one bit. So, yeah, it's a pretty good read. All right, guys, I'll see you next time.